book people. I am making another video, and this time I'm going to be showing you what is on my book cart. I got a book cart for Christmas this year, and I have been using it as sort of a TBR shelf, essentially, and I have a whole bunch of books on it that I just have not gotten to yet, and they're constantly staring at me, and I just wanted to go through them all and sort of show you what's on my, I want to say like TBR for the year, because it's just sort of books that I've collected recently that I know I want to read as soon as I possibly can. I'm in a bit of a different location today, and when I say different location, I don't mean entirely different. I am pretty much in the same position in my room. I'm just further back to clear out the background because I realized that my posters sort of took up a lot of visual space and I just didn't like how it looked, so at least now it's a little bit clearer. I do have a lot of stuff on my walls, so it's still busy, but it's not as busy as I found the other background was. And I think the lighting is a little better here because last time I was like way up against my window, so I just think this is a little nicer. But yeah, I'm going to show you all of my unreads that are on my book cart, or maybe not all of them, but I'm going to show you a whole lot of them, a lot of the ones that I want to read pretty much as soon as I possibly can. And I'm just going to go through them probably pretty quick because there are a few. I think I have about 21. And also, because I haven't read them yet, I don't have proper descriptions of them, so I'm just going to kind of go through and show you what I've got. I'm going to start off with one that I am probably most excited about. I read the first book this year, and honestly, it sort of changed my perspective on fantasy writing and changed my life a little bit, but that is A Day of Fallen Night by Samantha Shannon. I read Prayer of the Orange Tree in, I think, April, maybe March? It took me a little while, but I think I finished it in April. And I was so in it. It was so beautiful and just so vivid, and I felt like every time I was reading the book, I was in the book. And when I saw that the second one had come out in paperback, because I cannot stand books this big being in hardcover, I knew I had to get it. So I've had it for a little while, but I just want to read it so bad. I'm pretty sure that this is a prequel, which is a little bit upsetting because I love the characters from Prayer of the Orange Tree so much, and I want to see where all of them are now. So the fact that we're not going to be seeing Sabran and Ede and Tanve in this one is a little bit upsetting, but it's a prequel and it's probably just as good as the other one. I haven't read very many reviews. I'm a little bit scared of reading reviews. I kind of just want to avoid them and allow myself to read this on my own and not be sort of blinded by any judgments that I see online, because sometimes I do find that I form opinions based on what other people say, and it actually totally dampens my enjoyment, and I don't want that happening with this one, because if it's anything like Prayer of the Orange Tree, I am going to just love it so thoroughly. So I don't know when I'm going to read this. I kind of want to read it in a month where I know I'm not going to have anything going on. I am finishing up some school right now, so I want to get over school first before I start something like this. I did read Priory of the Orange Tree while I was in school, and that was a lot. That's why it took me so long, because I was just, doing so much stuff. I feel like this is a book I need to set time aside for. I'm pretty sure it's like 800 pages. It is over 800 pages. And yeah, it's just, I can't stop admiring the cover. It's so beautiful. I am so excited. I will read anything that comes out for this series because it just blew me away when I read the first one. The second book is 0 Days by Ruth Ware, which is a new addition to my collection. I am currently on a book buying ban, but I found a little loophole, and I found this at a free little library the other day, and I said, well, I'm not buying it, so I'll take it home with me, and it doesn't count. But I have heard a whole lot about Ruth Ware, and I know that a lot of people like her books. I have heard people read 0 Days. I haven't heard amazing reviews, but I haven't heard terrible reviews. I've just heard that a lot of people read her books. So I picked it up after reading, the inside. I was like, oh, that sounds interesting. And I think it's supposed to be sort of a mystery, and I like a good mystery, so I don't really know too much about it, but I do know that I'm probably going to be picking this up really soon because I have been reading a lot of books for school and just a lot of very dense books, and I need something that's a little bit easier and as far as I know, this looked a little bit easier. So, in the same vein as that one, in terms of coming from a free little library, I found these, which I already own Harry Potter. I got them off of my friend, and I wanted to switch out the books in my collection with these ones because they're the original covers and I really like them. So it's a little silly, and it's also the first and the third, but I'm Harry Potter girly, and I yearn to have these copies in my collection. So I will most likely be reading this because I am doing a Harry Potter reread right now. It's sort of I'm letting it span however long it needs to, because I think I read The Chamber of Secrets like at the beginning of the year. So I'm gonna take my time, but when I do pick up The Prisoner of Azkaban, I will be picking up this one. They're in basically perfect condition. I can't believe how great these are. And then in return, I will be putting the 2 copies that I have with other covers back into the free little library just to make sure that it all evens out. The next books I'm going to show you are a trilogy, or at least I think they're a trilogy. These were gifted to me, so I really don't know that much about them. But I'm just going to show you all 3 at the same time. But it is Shadow, Bright and Burning by Jessica Cluess. And I think these are in the right order. I'm pretty sure this is the first one. And then A Sorrow Fierce and Falling, and A Poison, Dark and Drowning. I think that I just showed you them in the right order, but I could be wrong. I have not picked them up yet, but my friend gave these to me. They know I really love to read. They know that I've been sort of getting into fantasy, and they said, hey, I've got this series. I don't want it anymore. Maybe you should try. And they gave it to me. So I think that it's about just female lead who has a special ability that I think might be sort of setting her apart from the general public, and she has to go through a bunch of trials because she is different. I'm assuming that's what it's about. I'm pretty sure when I read the back it sort of seemed like that. The way my friend described it to me made it sound really cool. I think that the character in this book can control fire. I would guess based on the cover that that's probably true, but they told me it was really great, and they told me it was pretty unique. I have never met another person that's read this. I've never heard of this, so if you have heard of it, please comment down below and tell me what you thought, because I would really like to know before going into this what other people think. And I am a little afraid to brave reviews, as I usually am, so I am hesitant to go on Goodreads and check, but, feel free to comment if you want to. The next book I am so beyond excited about. I bought it recently. This was the last book I bought before my book buying ban, and that is Giovanni's Room by James Baldwin. I am starting this today because I just finished the last compulsory read of my English course, so I'm going to be reading this. I have heard it is just very beautiful and sad, and I believe it's set in the 1950s, and it's sort of a romance. I think from what I understand, it's a pretty tragic romance. I don't think things really work out. I'm so excited. I picked it up and I saw that it was their last copy, and I was like, I have to take it because I've been looking at this for such a long time and I've wanted to read it for such a long time. I am hoping I don't go through too quickly, but it is a pretty short book, so I'm going to start this tonight and see where I get. I did want to do a reading vlog and maybe like film parts of this, but I might save that for another book, or maybe I'll start filming it while I read this and just sort of see where it goes, because I haven't done a reading vlog yet and I really want to. So that is Giovanni's Room. I have Metamorphosis by Franz Kafka, which I think pretty much everyone and their parents have heard about. This is a pretty classic story, so I don't think I need to tell you too much about it. What I will say though is that I picked this up at one of my local bookstores, and what caught my eye was the cover. And it's funny because I love to judge covers. Sorry, not sorry. And I was talking to my boyfriend, he was with me, we were talking about covers and the different book covers that I saw on the shelf, and he was like, don't pick a book because of the cover. And then he saw the cover and he was like, that's pretty cool. So we both agreed that it was really neat. And I have been wanting to read Metamorphosis. I don't have a copy of it. I do have a friend that has a copy of it that I could totally borrow from, but I wanted to have one for myself so that I could annotate it. And I mean, I feel like there is no argument that this is just very pretty and that I wanted to have it in my collection. I did start this book, but I took a pause because I was reading White Tiger for my English class. So I will be picking Good Omens back up very soon. I bought this at a closing sale in one of the bookstores near me. Very sad, but this was my final book purchase at that store, and I'm pretty excited to read it. I've heard that the show is amazing, but I've heard that people recommend you read the book first and then watch the show, so that's what I'm gonna do. This is my best friend's favorite book by far, so I'm really excited to get into it. I think I've annotated it already a little bit, which is kind of funny that I was like already so into it that I was annotating it and then I put it down. But I didn't get super far, and I do want to pick it back up, but I have other things that I want to read ahead of it now that I've bought some other things in between buying this one and now. But I mean, I've heard that it's really fun, and I want some fun, so I will probably be picking this up very, very soon, probably once I finish Giovanni's Room and the next book that I'm going to show you. And yeah, maybe this will be what I make the reading vlog on. We'll see. So I don't know if you've heard about this book. I personally had not heard about it, but I was at one of my local bookstores looking around, and the cover really caught my eye, and so I picked it up and I read the back, and I bought it. And that is Death by a Thousand Cuts. I do not like short stories, generally. They just don't work for me. I find that if one or two stories doesn't go well, I don't tend to like the collection, which is kind of sucky because I feel like you can't judge a collection based on one of the stories, but generally when I'm rating short story collections, it feels sort of cheap because if I didn't like, 2 or 3, then I'm probably not going to rate it very high. And I also find that short form content of any kind, but specifically, stories, I just like something more fleshed out, and I barely ever find that a short story actually completely fleshes out an idea. When I read The Grown Up last month, I kind of felt the same way. I love Gillian Flynn a whole lot, but The Grown Up was just so short, and I felt like there could be so much more expansion there. So I feel like usually what ends up happening is, even if I like the story, I wish it was longer. So short story collections just almost never work for me. I did read Out There Screaming with the Literally Dead book club this year, and there was one story, I can't remember the name of it, but if I do, I'll put it up here. And I thought that was how you write a short story. But other than that, I haven't really been super impressed with what I've read so far, but I also haven't read a ton of short story collections. So I want to give this one a try. I read the back, and it just seemed so relevant. It seemed very current, and a lot of the issues that it seemed to cover are very current. And I'm really drawn to things that sort of I feel I can connect to personally, and just some of the things that I read on the back here, I felt, even reading the back, I felt connected with. So I wanted to give it a try, and so yeah, I picked it up, and I thought that the cover was just very mesmerizing. I saw it on the shelf, there was like one copy of it, and I was just drawn in immediately to pick it up. So I did. I kind of want to read the back, or at least part of the back, because I really like the way that the little like blurb is written. So I'm going to read it to you. A writer discovers that her ex has published a novel about their breakup. An immunocompromised woman falls in love only to have her body betray her. After her boyfriend makes an insensitive comment, a college student finds an experimental procedure that promises to turn her brown eyes blue. A Reddit post about a man's habit of grabbing his girlfriend's breasts prompts a shocking confession. An unsettling second date leads to the testing of boundaries. And when a woman begins to lose her hair, she embarks on an increasingly nightmarish search for answers. So it feels current and relevant and sort of real. But it also kind of sounds a little freaky and a little like spooky and a little gross. So I really couldn't say no after I read the back. It kind of stuck with me. And I knew that if I didn't pick it up, that I would be thinking about it for days, even weeks after. So that is Death by a Thousand Cuts. When I found The Library at Mount Char, which is by Scott Hawkins. Oh, also, Death by a Thousand Cuts is by, where is the author's name? Shashi Bhatt. I think I'm saying that right, but I just want to make sure that I'm saying the author's names. So that's this one. Anyway, sorry. So, The Library at Mount Char on Mount Char, at Mount Char, I'm getting it wrong, by Scott Hawkins, is a book that I was hearing a lot about online, and the timing of my finding it was just amazing. I was seeing so many people talk about it online, and I was watching countless TikToks about people reading it. And then it showed up in a free little library while I was walking one day. And I thought, wow, I was like, I think maybe even hours before I had found it, I was watching someone review it. And so I had to pick it up. As far as I know, it follows multiple different characters that are stuck in a library, and they're all sort of battling with their own inner problems, and they're all dealing with themselves, and they have to get out of the library. And that is all I know, and I don't even know if that's true. I feel like I need to put a disclaimer at the start of videos like this where I'm like, I may be wrong, and anything I say could be total garbage because I haven't read the book, so I have no idea. But I heard that there are a few scenes in this that some people don't really like and certain things that people disagree with, but that didn't really turn me off of it. I want to see, I want to know, I want to read it, and I want to develop my own opinions. So I'm going to give it a try, and I hope that it is good. My books are piling up, and I hope that they don't fall over the floor. The next book that I have is Manhunt by Gretchen Felker Martin. I found this used at a very cute little bookstore sort of close to me. Before I get into this, I do want to just tell a little story about this day because I thought it was really fun. My aunt came down to see me, and I was like, I am going to show you all the local bookstores because she also loves to read. And so we went to maybe 4 or 5 different bookstores, and I picked out 1 or 2 things from each store. So this is one of my choices, and it's in pretty good condition for being in a used bookstore. This was recommended to me by the owner of a coffee shop near me that I go to semi-regularly, and I go in and I pretty much just talk about books with the guy who works there, and he told me about this one. I'm pretty sure he told me about this one. I might be thinking incorrectly, but I'm pretty sure he did. And I've heard that it's really, really gruesome. I've heard that it's pretty gross. But as far as I know, it's about people that have to hunt other people for their survival. I don't think it's like a tender as the flesh sort of for survival as in eating food situation, but I also have no idea. So I have read my fair share of cannibalism books, so if that's in this, I'm prepared, but I don't think that it's about that. I could be wrong. I have no idea. I just know that it's about people hunting other people, and it might be, I don't know if it's for sport. I don't know if it's for, I think it's to help survive. I don't know. It says hunting feral men and harvesting their organs in a gruesome effort to ensure they'll never face the same fate. So I'm not exactly sure why they would, or what's going on, or why there are feral men out there, but that's what it's about. And I'm a little scared to pick it up. I recently read Womb, and if you've read Womb, you can understand why I'm reacting like this, because, it's gross. I think it was, if you like Womb, you know what, you can have your own opinion. My opinion, that was the worst book I've ever read in my entire life. I feel like I should make a video about my least favorite books. I don't have that many, but that would be on there, and that would be the main attraction, Womb. No hate to anybody that likes it. I don't think that this sort of I feel like that was splatterpunk or bordering on it. I don't think that that's my thing. I love horror movies, I love scary books, I love thrillers. That was crossing the line, and I could also guess what was going to happen at the end, which was really frustrating, because I was like, oh, this is supposed to be the big gross thing that happens that you maybe don't see coming, and then you totally do. Anyway, this is not a rant about Womb, this is about Manhunt, but Womb kind of scared me off of reading things that were considered gruesome, and I've heard that this is considered gruesome. So, we'll just have to see. I'm going to use my best judgment. I'm going to see if it works for me, and, if it ends up being too much, which I don't think it will, but if it ends up being too much, I'll just DNF it. But I do want to give it a good try, because it sounds really fun. I was recently traveling a little bit, not traveling far, I was traveling 45 minutes from where I live. I was recently traveling. It was a 45-minute car ride. But I went to a very cute all-horror bookstore, and I picked up Night Bitch, which I'm so excited to read. I would say that I'm going to pick this up next, but we all know that's not true because of how highly I spoke of Giovanni's Room and how much I want to read that one. But this is definitely one that I'm going to pick up very soon. I think I'm saying that for all of them. I mean, if it was my choice, I'd be reading all of these at the same time, but I can't do that. So I'm pretty sure that this is a woman who has a kid and she decides to be a stay-at-home mom to take care of the kid and then starts to turn into a dog. So, hence Night Bitch. Because dog. So, that's what this one's about. Or at least that's what I think it's about. And I love the cover. I'm going to go on about covers. I'm a cover girl. Okay. So I'm not... I like covers. But I love the red on red. The very like monochrome look. I think it's very cute. But I am just beyond excited to start reading this. So I think I'll try to get to it soon. And as I have said for a couple other books, maybe I'll do the reading vlog on this one. I have about 8 more books to share, so this shouldn't be too much longer. I'm not going to try and go through them at any particular speed. I'll just keep going with what I'm doing now, but I do have a few more. And the next one is Ready Player One, which I've seen the movie, and I thought the movie was really, really, really great. So I picked up the book. I got it at a used bookstore, and it just sort of called to me. I was looking, and I was trying to find something, and trying to pick something to read. Obviously, I didn't end up reading this at the time, so I guess my mission sort of failed. I don't know what I read instead. But I picked it up, and I said, okay, this is my choice. I know what it's about. And I honestly find sometimes watching movies before reading books, or vice versa, enhances the experience of the other. So watching the movie and having the knowledge of what goes on in this is probably going to make it better for me, because I'm going to be able to picture it all, and I'm going to know what's coming, and some people don't like that. I know that. Some people don't like spoilers. Some people want to go into things blind and come out the other end with all the knowledge. And you know what? Sometimes that's a really enjoyable experience as well. But I am excited to go into this knowing what happens, and to just have a good time and sort of relive the experience of watching the movie, but in the written form. I know this is a pretty well-liked book, so I am, feeling pretty good about reading it because I think I'll like it, but I have heard that the second one is just not as good, so I didn't get that one. But I think this probably won't take me very long. Again, because I've seen the movie, I'll probably read it pretty quick, so maybe this will be something I read soon as well. But honestly, it's been sitting there for a little while, so I wouldn't be surprised if it takes me a little longer to get to this one. And next, we have Beautiful World, Where Are You by Sally Rooney. This is my second Sally Rooney novel that I own and that I plan to read. I would love to read Conversations with Friends. I just haven't had a chance to pick it up. The first book I read was Normal People, which something about Sally Rooney that I understand is many people have very polarizing opinions. I'm not one of those people. I liked Normal People. I thought it was good. I didn't love it, and I didn't have like a crazy connection with it and find it just so devastating. I found it sad. I didn't cry, but I did find it sad, and I'm a crier. Like, I am a big crier. But I didn't find it particularly amazing, but I also didn't hate it with like my entire soul, which I find a lot of people do for some reason. I know that Sally Rooney does the no quotations around like conversations. She doesn't do quotations around speech, which annoys the hell out of people because it's like not proper writing. I didn't care. I thought it was fine. I mean, let a girl have a writing style. Why not? But from, what I understand, it's a book about different people. And I think it's probably about how their lives intersect, or maybe just how their lives go. It's Sally Rooney, so I'm assuming it'll be pretty sort of realistic in terms of, just being about life and people and the goings-on of these people's lives. See, very articulate when I talk about books that I have not read, but I don't know. I think this is going to be a good summer book. I haven't heard much about this one, so I don't know if it's sad or if it's fun, and I'd imagine that if it's Sally Rooney, it's probably sad, and I'm looking for some nice sad girl summer books, so hopefully this will fit that bill. Moving on, I have The Butterfly Garden by Dot Hutchinson. I've had this book for a couple years now, and I was in my big thriller horror era, so this, I'm pretty sure, I did start it a little while ago. I don't think that I still have a bookmark in it or anything, but I did start this, And from what I understand, it's a horror mystery about I think a serial killer that kidnaps women and keeps them as his butterflies. At least I think that's what it says on the back. So I didn't really hit anything too important when I read it the first time. I just got through like maybe the first little bit. I don't know what the chapters are like. I probably got through like a section, or I don't know. Is it chapters? I don't think I got through very much, but I'm kind of determined to read it just because I have it, and I've heard pretty good things from the people that have read it. I can't remember where I got the recommendation from, but I do know that the recommendation I saw was like, this book is great. So I was going to give it away. I was going to put it in a free little library, and then I went, maybe not today. Maybe I will give it a read. So I don't know when, but I'm going to try. The next book is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. And I've had this one as well as The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo for a very long time. And I got this and The Seven Husbands and Daisy Jones and the Six when I was traveling. And I was actually traveling. I was quite far away from home. And I was with my parents, and we went to their friend's house, and I saw that they had a bookshelf, so, I was like looking at their books or whatever, and I mentioned that I hadn't read anything by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and I was given all 3 books to keep. So the reason I haven't gotten around to this one yet is because I've been waiting to read it in the summertime. I have had plenty of time in the summer to read it, I just haven't gotten around to it yet. This summer, I am so determined. I am so determined to read this in, let's say July. I'm going to read this in July. That is going to be the time. And I've heard great things. I want to read this in the summer. I'm pretty sure it's, I think it's like set around a beach, maybe. I don't know if it's set just around a beach, but I think it has to do with water and sibling dynamics, which I don't read a whole lot of that. So I am interested to see what I think. And along with summer reads, I really want to reread Call Me By Your Name, because I just rewatched the movie, and there is just a yearning in my soul to get back into that book. So my summer TBR is probably going to be a few rereads. The next book is The Vanishing Half by Brit Bennett, which I have been wanting to read for so long. And so I found this recently at a used bookstore, and I couldn't have been happier. I was having a hard time finding it in, just like other bookstores. And so I came across it at a bookstore I'd never been to before. I was on that day with my aunt that I mentioned. And I just immediately grabbed it and I said, this is what I need. So as far as I know, it's about 2 twin sisters who, they grow up in this like Black community, and they sort of separate. And they go about their own lives, and I think they both have daughters, and they both have their own families, and they both live their own lives. But it sort of tells a story about the difference between the sisters, because one passes as white and one does not. So I think it just kind of shows the way that each of the sisters live and how their lives differ based on that single fact. And I think it also goes even further to talk about their daughters' lives. So I think that it just sounds very interesting, and I've been wanting to read it for so long. So I really, really hope that I manage to pick it up this summer, but I know I have so much to read, so who knows if I will, but I really, really hope that I do. The next book that I have to talk about out of the last 3 that I have is The Wind-Up Bird Chronicle by Haruki Murakami. As far as I know, and this could be completely wrong, it's about a guy whose wife's cat goes missing, and then his wife goes missing, and it's about his journey trying to find the cat and then his wife. So I really don't know much else other than that, but I do know that Murakami has a very interesting effect on people, because I have seen, same as Sally Rooney almost, very polarizing opinions. I have seen people with full collections of his work, and then I've also seen people that just will never pick up one of his books. So I'm interested to see what my opinion is, and I hope I like it. We are on the final stretch. The second last book that I have to show you is The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I can't believe I haven't read yet. This is one that I feel like was circulating for a really long time. I think last year, or maybe even the year before that, it got popular, but this is one that almost everyone that I talk to has read, and everyone that I see on the internet has read. And it has been staring at me. It has been staring me in the face for such a long time. And I just haven't picked it up. So hopefully very soon it will be my time to pick it up, and I hope I enjoy it. I just haven't been having any particular urge to read it, so I just haven't. I'm not a huge mood reader, but it's sometimes, I do pick up a book because I'm like, ooh, I'm in, like a sad mood, so I'm gonna read something that I think will be sad. But I've just never had like a mood where I'm like, ooh, I think I need this particular book, and this book will fit the bill for that. So that's just one of the reasons why I haven't yet. I don't know why, but I also find it a little daunting, so I just haven't. But hopefully soon. I want to get all of these books off of my TBR as soon as I possibly can, so I'm hoping to do that this year, but who knows how it'll go, because I'll probably end up getting more books at some point. And last but not least is Bloodletting and Miraculous Cures. I just bought this book based on the name. I'm not even going to lie. It just looks good, and the title sounds good. And I also heard from a friend that it's good. So I really don't know much about it. I know it's about doctors, and I think that I don't know if it's a short story collection, but I know that the book is comprised of a bunch of, well, if I say short stories, then it sounds like a short story collection, but I think that the book is a bunch of different stories weaved together to make one. I think that they're all interconnected, so I don't know if that counts as a short story collection. Please tell me what you think, because I have no idea. But yeah, I don't super know what it's about, but I know that it looks cool and it sounds cool. So that's why I have it. That is all the books on my book cart that I haven't read yet that are kind of top priority. I do have a few other ones. I have like the Twilight series and some manga and some other things that I just don't really need to read right away, or some classics that I just don't want to, put in this as, something like that I need to read soon, because I kind of like to take my time with classics and I don't want to rush into them or rush through them, so I'm not really going to count them here, but there are definitely more books that I have that I need to read, but this is the bulk of them, and yeah, it seems like it's going to make for a lot of really great reading experiences, and I'm super excited for that, so I hope you stick around, because I do want to film a reading vlog soon and just, vlog some of the reading that I'm going to do with these books and maybe other books depending on what happens in the future, if I finish these and I get to other ones. But yeah, thank you so much for joining me today. If you want to join me next time, you can subscribe. And if you want to tell me if you've read any of these books, or if you have any of these books on your TBR, you can comment that down below. And yeah, I hope to see you next time. So thank you for watching. Bye!